whatever strategy you're in, you're going to learn, you're going to change, you're going to get better and better and better. And vetting I call them members because that's how the legal entity calls
Sure.
them. Because I don't have tenants, I have members. I have a member agreement because a
Got
lot of the municipalities have some are five, some are four, but basically non-family members. You can't have more than say four or five non-family members in a house for a
it. Right.
tenant law. This is a member agreement, like a gym membership.
Alrighty, folks. Welcome to an amazing conversation about co-living. Are you looking to produce cash flow income today? We all know that it's hard out there with affordability, prices, interest rates. Well, one of the things that is working is co-living. And Jared here is going to walk through what it is, how he's doing it, why he's doing it. He's also a speaker at our Vegas event. So again, folks, this is meant to whet your appetite. This is meant to get you to buy tickets to our Vegas event, February 14th and 15th of 2026 in Vegas. Don't forget, if you buy your tickets in September, you will get $100 credit to my Teachable store and a exclusive conversation with me in October. Jared, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having
Uh,
me.
Absolutely. Well, do us a favor. Just introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and we'll get into this.
I'm Jared Oschenbein. I have a W-2, just like Mike, pretty similar. Been at the same company for 25 years. And a
Wow.
couple years ago, I finally figured it out. I read a book, shocker. So I do co-living. I live in Oregon, but I do co-living in Arizona. So I'm an out-of-state investor in co-living. So you want me to jump into what co-living is?
Go for it.
It's rent by room. So you basically just buy a single family home, or some people do duplexes or tris or quads, and then they rent the rooms out in those. And so that's that's the bolts of it is just the rent by room in a single family home. And the reason I did that was when I first started, I wanted to get into multifamily, but I didn't like the debt structure. So I'm essentially doing kind of a multifamily with 30-year fixed rate debt in a single family home. So I put the two together.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that very beginning, right? Because again, you actually came to real estate investing kind of in an unusual way. You came to this because you read a book about taxes and you frankly got pissed off. So let's give some credit to that starting of the journey.
Yeah, I told Bo Eccleston that if I ever saw Tom Wheelwright, that I'd probably get arrested because I'll give him a big old kiss because he's the author of Tax Free Wealth, and I'm not a reader. I'm an IT manager. I was comfortable in corporate and blah blah blah, but I live in Oregon, and COVID and all this stuff and what they were doing with our tax dollars really, really upset me. And so I decided I owe him a favor for pissing me off, like you said, enough to actually go out and do something about it. So I read this book, Tax Free Wealth. Essentially, it said get into real estate, and here I am.
Yeah.
So I wanted to offset my tax burden because my driver in the beginning, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know what cash flow was. None of that. My goal was, hey man, I don't like what they're doing with my taxes. I'm not going to pay them anymore, or at least as less as I can. And so day one was save taxes, and then day two I was like, oh, cash flow. Oh, that's cool. So like almost immediately I added that to the list. So my goals were, well, reduce my tax burden for one, driver behind that, but then cash flow, and then I added a third, which is the potential for appreciation. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about that journey, right? You read this book, you get excited. I know your story. We're going to pull it out of you here for the audience. You basically identified two areas that you thought would work today. One was co-living, which obviously you're executing on, and the other one was what was the other one? Nurses, traveling nurses.
traveling nurses, yeah, I wanted to get as much cash flow because I was running the numbers, not knowing what I was doing. I actually owe Pace Morby's Laura, his wife. She
Mhm.
put on. I joined Sub Two and Gator also. Pace Morby's groups. I started off as a private money lender, learning the ropes and some of that stuff. And I figured if I could put myself in the middle, I could see the buyer and the seller and try to figure
Mhm.
stuff out, which kind of worked. And I got
Cool.
paid doing it, so it was kind of cool.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm sorry, back to your question. I got myself sidetracked. You said
Traveling nurses.
traveling nurses. Yeah, so I looked at that, and I looked at the rent by room model and co-living. And the traveling nurses, from my research, 2029, 2030, it was going to kind of sort of dry up. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Plus, the two states that really, like, I think Texas has 21 or 22, over 20 level one trauma centers, and then Florida had nine. And so I liked that, but I didn't like Texas property taxes, and I didn't like Florida insurance. Boy, dodge a bullet there, huh?
Yeah.
And so I ended up on Arizona. I wanted landlord friendly states, and everything else fit the box. but the prices of the houses in Arizona were high, but it fit my tax strategy, so it kind of worked.
Nice. So let's
It's
break
one.
down kind of co-living, right? So again, just so folks don't, and you've only done co-living in houses, correct? Single
Yeah,
family.
yeah, yeah.
So let's talk about that first one, right? So what was it? What'd you buy? What is it now? Let's tell the story of the first one.
Well, I didn't learn everything from you yet, so I did pay list price. Shoot me. But I made up for it in the next three. I did.
There
Oh,
you go.
well, at
Yeah.
least I got 11K concession. So the first one I bought in Glendale, Arizona. And at the time I bought that, I'll give the numbers because I don't care if
Sure.
that's okay.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay,
Whatever
yeah,
you're
it
comfortable
was
with.
lit. Yeah, it was listed for 452. It was one of those open door or one of those company flips, and
Yeah.
so it had a lot of
iBuyers.
cool
Yeah.
stuff. And I was like, all
Yeah.
right, I want to get something that I don't have to do a lot of work from because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Because I was going to do construction, I had to add bedrooms,
Yeah.
but I paid 452 for it. I did get 11K in concessions, so that was cool. Got the house and I did the whole now what?
Yeah.
There was a split, I mean a microsecond where I was like, there was some issues with the inspection, and for just I mean, you can't even measure it. It was like, man, am I doing the right? And I just went for it. I was like, all right, I'm doing this. So that was my pilot house. I had sold some toys, which we can talk about later. I had a
Yeah.
Jeep and a toy hauler and a Denali and all this stuff. So I'd sold that to go pilot this, so it wouldn't be an impact to the family,
Sure.
and bought it, and I ran it and it was way more successful than I thought. I'd ran the numbers really because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I'd networked
Sure.
with other hosts and everything. So I turned it, it was a 4-2, and I tried to turn it into a 8-3, but that third bathroom with concrete slab in Arizona wasn't going to work. But
Okay.
one of the bathrooms is kind of split. So it was like, I'll say it's a 4-2 and a quarter. So it
Okay.
works. And so I bought that house. It was great. Everything was working out. I was like, hey, this is really cool. So I did another one and did another one.
What
Um,
year? What month and year did you do that first deal?
oh, I closed on the house August 15th, 2023. I started in real estate investing, I guess, April. No, no coincidence there. It was April.
Yeah.
Taxes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Tax order
But
motivation. Let's not forget.
yeah. And by the way, my birthday's April 15th. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
All right.
yeah, tax baby. But yeah, that's what got me started was the taxes, and then bought that house, and now I'm on my fourth house. It's not, well, actually, it's live as of I think this morning. So the first three I did pad split, and I can
Okay.
talk about that if you want. I
Sure.
used a property manager,
Yeah.
but they changed their fee structure and pissed me off again. So now I'm doing it on my own, and so we've already got the house done up. So what we do is we find big homes. I'll give my buy box in case
Yeah.
anybody out there wants to throw me something.
There you go.
Phoenix metro area, right? I'm looking in Chandler and Gilbert, 2,000 square feet or better, no HOA, no pool, 2.5 bath with parking, like for 4 or 5 cars, that kind of thing, or near a bus stop. That'll work. So that's what I look for. It's going to sound funny to a lot of people, but I take the living room, dining room, sometimes the Arizona room, and turn those into bedrooms, right?
Okay.
Basically put walls up, and I don't go to the garage. I know Pace goes to the garage, but it's 2x the cost. And I'm trying to keep the houses in somewhat original format. So just in case down the road, if I ever need to put it back the way it needs to be, I have that option. Not that
Right.
that's a plan. It's just I'm
Yeah.
simply putting up walls. All I got to do is tear them down and put it back the way it was.
Right.
So
Right. So so again, that 4, 2 and a quarter. What did it end up becoming? 8 bedrooms, that first one?
yeah, I turned it into, and it's actually funny. One of the construction workers was there, and he's like, if you took the Arizona room and you split it, you could turn that into 2 rooms. And I'm like, that's actually a good idea because I was going to turn the big the kitchen is huge, and then the dining room is just massive. So I was going to turn that into one half, and it was, I don't know how big it is, probably like 30 feet long by 14 or something. And so there was enough room to put a bedroom internal, and I ended up doing the external because it gave that room there. And I
Yeah.
thought that first house, I thought that people would use it. Nobody uses that. Like, nobody gathers together and does all that in that house. I have another house where they play games and get together and have a great time, and it's weird, the different groups of people in different houses. There's a dynamic in each one.
Yeah. So let's talk about co-living from a landlord perspective at this point, because one of the things, the numbers are great until then you have to deal with people, right?
Yeah.
People have their issues and whatnot. So again, you're talking. I'm guessing you only have single occupancy, right? You're not taking
Yep.
couples or anything of that
Yep.
nature, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, got to be single. But talk about just how it is managing 8 adults, inside a home.
Adults, huh? Yeah. I've
Yeah,
had 60-year-old children, believe it or not.
yeah,
But yeah, it can be rough, but that's why my vetting, this whole game of all of us, whatever strategy you're in, you're going to learn, you're going to change, you're going to get better and better and better. And vetting I call them members because that's how the legal entity calls
Sure.
them. Because I don't have tenants, I have members. I have a member agreement because a
Got
lot
it.
of the municipalities have some are five, some are four, but basically non-family members. You can't have more than say four or five non-family members in a house for a
Right.
tenant law. This is a member agreement, like a gym membership.
Sure.
So, yeah, I've had some real doozies, man. A couple I probably can't talk about because I know this is going to go on YouTube. But
Yeah. This is going
um,
on YouTube, so just remember
yeah,
that. Yeah.
there's a few, but I've in the last I'd say 9 months I haven't had any major issues. I've had so and so drank my 7 Up, and that was a total accident, and they actually worked together and blah blah blah. But yeah, you have to deal with people. But the vetting process is paramount in this method, right? Like in the beginning, I was turning down. I'll give you percentages on turn downs of members, and
Sure.
that'll help kind of show you where it went. In the beginning, I the first time I took everybody because I didn't know any better, and that was a mistake, 100%, man. It was first 2 months were hell. Had to get rid of a few people, and then with 8 bedrooms, um, you cover. So here's how it works in my market: the first 4 bedrooms cover the mortgage, the fifth pays the utilities, and then 6, 7, and 8 is all profit, pretty much. And so when you lose three, then you're breaking even, basically, more or less. But when you lose four, like I did later on in the year, that was rough. I mean, you know how bad you got to mess up a co-living house to go negative cash flow on it? I was negative 400 in 1 month.
Wow.
But yeah, pain is a good teacher, man. I had one guy come in, and he was clean. He was a good dude, but he just rubbed people the wrong way. He had a way about. He's a big old guy, construction worker, and he did track mud in the house. And I'm like, come on, man. And then he slammed the door at 4 in the morning, and then he was smoking in the bedroom. Like, come on, man. So I had to ask him to leave, but he drove off 4 members. So and then him was five. So I was down to three that month.
Wow.
Yeah, it was brutal. So yeah, I started at everybody, then I went to like say 5, 10%, and then 20, and now I'm nixing about 40% of the members that I have, the applications. It's crazy.
It's all about tenant selection or member
Yeah, yeah.
selection.
It's
Member
just not
selection.
worth it, you
Yeah.
know.
Very, very cool. Well, we talked about the first deal again to kind of get that proof of concept, all of that. Let's talk about the latest deal. What's the latest one you just got put in service?
Well, yeah, just like I think this morning, I haven't checked yet, but it's in Gilbert, Arizona. So for people that don't know the valley, I bought in Glendale, which is the West Valley, which is some would consider lower end market, let's say, that 452, and that was actually high. The next two houses I bought in Phoenix they were listed. One was listed for 458, and I picked it up for 405. So I was learning,
Yeah,
right?
there you go.
And
There you
then
go.
the next one you'll really like, it was listed 585. Well, it was off market and the guy wanted 585. And after 2 or 3 months, we got to 465, and that was awesome. Full gut
Nice.
reno, dual plane window, everything was new on this thing. And I mean, I stole it from that guy, man. And I felt bad. I
Nice.
really did. He was another investor who did RV parks, and he got
Sure.
out of his lane. And so that actually taught me that, hey, man, stay in my lane. So I do only co-living in the Phoenix metro. So then I
Perfect.
decided, with all the supply, I took a gamble because when I bought that house in Glendale, after the first year, a lot of supply started coming online because they're cheaper houses there for rent by
Sure.
room. So then I was competing with all these people in my turnover, and I was like, man, this sucks. So TSMC, I'm an IT guy at an IT company, and I know the area somewhat. So I knew that Taiwan Semiconductor was finishing up north. So I looked for houses up there. There was no supply up there. And that was
Wow.
a lucky move because I bought a house up there, ran the pilot, was awesome, ran the pilot. So I bought another one, right? And those are full. Those have been, their occupancy on that is stupid. That having those actually carried that other house. I know you don't like talking about, I didn't make an alligator just for that month. I had an alligator.
It
And so
happens.
luckily those two houses carried it. So I decided, well, I know it's more expensive, but there's two other houses in Gilbert that do rent by room. Well, there's more, but two on the platform, can't speak, and then a couple other, not a lot of supply, and the
Mm.
rents are higher. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to look in Chandler and Gilbert. I had two under contract in Chandler, one in January, one in February, and both of them were disasters. I'm talking foundation, house
Mm.
falling into the earth, and all this. I was like, man. So I decided Gilbert's more expensive than Chandler by 75, 100 grand.
Mm.
But this house was listed for 630, and I kept coming after it because it was the only one that fit. I'm looking for, oh, by the way, non-HOA, that's super hard to find in
Yeah.
Gilbert, right? It's an up and coming, they're about a year ago or so, their median income surpassed Scottsdale for the
Oh, wow.
locals. Yeah, not the house prices. The house prices are still low. Scottsdale's still, whatever it is, millions, but Gilbert's like up and coming. The
Mm.
age is younger, that kind of thing. So it wasn't my main target. Chandler's my main area because it's got more business and more stuff to fit my strategy. But this Gilbert house was there, and I kept looking at it. Was listed for 630. I made a 550 offer. They blew me off. Like 3 weeks later, month later, it was still on market. So it was at 80 some odd days at this point. They had listed it the year before, and then it came
Mm.
off, and then it came back on again, right? In like February or whatever it was. And so I was like, hey man, let's put another offer on that thing. So we did, and she countered. I found out later it was paid off, right?
Ah,
So she didn't have it alone, and she went and bought a house already. That thing was sitting there for like 6 months doing nothing. And so I
yeah.
came in again, same offer, and I think she said like 565, which was great, okay, 15 more. Oh, and I
Yeah.
asked for concession, max concession 3%, because I did buy it as a primary. So I go back and forth all the time. I work down there, so
Yeah.
and I occupy the ADU out back.
Nice.
Basically a big shed. Um, but yeah, so anyway, we ended up selling 562. I took this house was weird. It's a basement house in Arizona, right?
Wow. I didn't know they had those.
They just like 1% or something like that.
Hmm.
But the reason that's important is because it's cool down there and it gets hot as hell in Arizona, right? So
Sure. Yeah.
utility bill. But here's the best part. That thing had solar, 65 kilowatt a day solar, which covers all the energy. And
Huh.
I got lucky twice. That Kathleen house that I told you I bought for the 120 off, that
Yeah.
has paid for solar, and it carries, I mean, my highest bill's been $30 in the summer at 72 degrees.
Wow.
This house is because it's legacied in the old one to one where before the power companies learned how to screw you over.
Yeah.
2018, I think, is when that changed. So this house, that other house was paid for solar, no problem. Another house was paid for solar, but it's only 30K. This house isn't paid for solar. They're 8 years into the 20-year lease, but I did the math. It's 220 a month, fixed by 8 years ago money, right?
Huh.
And it's fixed in the contract. So I took over the contract for 220, and then the bills. I asked her to send me her summertime bills, and they're around $20. So it's
Okay.
more expensive, but it's hell of a lot cheaper than $400 or $500 a month
Oh
for
yeah.
power. So for me, it was a no-brainer. So yeah, I picked that up. It was a 6.3, which was weird, and I
Okay.
turned it into an 8.3. Um,
Oh, all right.
yeah,
So it
all the
came to
houses
you
are
as a
eight
6-3.
bedrooms.
Wow.
What's that?
It came to you as a 6-3. What?
Yeah, they'd created bedrooms in the basement, and then I had
Oh,
two more created. I had to blow out a wall or blow out a window to egress,
sure.
and then built a room downstairs, and I built a room upstairs. So it came out great, man. I found a contractor I used on the last house and this house, thank God, because I've been going through contractors left and right, and I think this one's pretty good. I'm still good. If Dion's listening, I'm still getting three bids. I screwed up on that. I screwed up on that second house. The first house I did, I love the contract. I was like, oh, this is great. So I got this next house under contract, used the same contractor, and I didn't get any other bids. And he came in 3x the
Ooh,
cost. Oh,
ouch.
I was like, what the hell? So there's a long story there, but I actually lost the contract. I dropped it, and then months later, I came back and picked it up again. So I had
Yeah,
that same house under contract twice.
that's
It
funny.
was weird.
Well, let's talk about again, folks. Don't forget, you'll be able to ask Jared any question you want. You can raise your hand or put comments in. This is for you, the school community. Again, he will be speaking at the Vegas event, so this should be a lot of fun. But talk about how the portfolio sits today. How many members today? What is it, 32, or what are we looking at?
I've got 24 active units, and I'm
Okay,
at
that's right.
20. I'm down three or four right now. So, but I've got another person I'm going to call this afternoon and see if they're, a good fit. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm at 20 out of 24 basically, but I have 32, and the other eight just came on board.
just came online.
Just
Yeah,
came online, and that though I'm running myself. And you'd mentioned something before about getting on social media and doing YouTube. So I'm doing all that. But
yeah,
oddly enough, a guy hit me up off of Instagram, which I suck at Instagram. I don't check it that often. But this guy, he's a photographer. So he came out
okay.
and he says, "Hey man, I want to do this for free." Okay, so he came out and he did a fantastic job to the point where I was like, "Dude, I know you said for free, but what do you charge?" And he's like,
Yeah,
195. So I sent the guy $200. I was like, "Yeah, dude, it was worth
yeah,
it." Well, he's local. He's right down the road. So he's going to be the one that's going to do the showings for me because,
yeah.
if I'm not there, I travel quite a bit.
Right.
So I don't know. We'll see. And he's a real estate agent. So,
There you go.
your network is your net worth kind of thing. Small
Yeah, just
potatoes, but hey, it works.
no. I mean, yeah, just putting yourself out there. You never know what comes your way. So again, we got some questions coming in. I'm glad this one's coming in because you have to talk about it. How do evictions work members versus tenants, is it actually an eviction or what does that look like?
Yeah, I've never done one, so I don't know, but I've been told I have a couple lawyers, KKOS lawyers, Mark Kohler and Matt Sorensen,
Uh-huh.
same lawyers that Pace Morby uses, by the way.
Yeah.
So they've been around the block a few times. But I've been told that in the Phoenix Metro in Arizona, after 30 days, 31 days, then they become a tenant. But there's been two legal cases in Arizona so far that I know about, and they won both of them with the member agreement, and it's stood up for over 20 years. Hedge funds I think are doing this with a lot of
Right.
rent by room and different. I think more East Coast,
Sure.
hence pad split, right?
Right.
They're doing that.
Yeah.
So I don't
Well,
really know. I mean, I
so
hope I won't find out.
how'd you get rid of that big grumpy construction worker? Did you just have a conversation with them? Did you
Uh,
cash for keys or what are we doing to
no,
get rid of bad members?
I don't know if I'm. I
Oh,
put it this way. I went and talked to him face to
ah,
face.
face to face.
Basically, the
Oh,
high level is I said, look, man, this ain't working. You're not a good fit for this. One way or
right.
another, you're leaving. You say nice things, I'll say nice things. You just leave, and he did. He left.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Sometimes just having conversations. Again, other things I've seen or other people doing, you could do cash for keys, like because again, you just got to get the problem person out. And if that,
I got to tell you this one though, real quick. I had a guy
sure.
that he was a nice guy, clean, everything, no problems, but he had called the emergency services on himself. He was into drugs. And so he
Okay.
goes out to the front door. This is when I had the first house. Well, I have a ring. It recorded the whole thing,
Oh
right?
wow.
So my phone goes off. I'm like, what's this? And there's these two emergency ladies there, and they're having this comment. I'm like, oh, man. So to his credit, he checked him into some kind of, himself into some kind of rehab or whatever. And then a week later, he came back, and then he was causing problems and being loud. So this is so bad. I called his mom. The guy's 32 years old, and the only reason I did that is because he had mentioned something in that conversation about his mom, and she was cool, man. She came, she had a truck, right? Showed up, helped him move out, everything. So it worked out, but that was a weird one.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, again, one of the things you learn as a landlord, you're dealing with people, and people are weird.
Yeah,
We got a question from Common Sense REI. I didn't realize you were using one as a house hack. Can you
yeah,
talk about that more?
yeah. Well, the house was more expensive than I wanted to spend, like by 100 and some odd grand, and so I had that. It just so happens that the company I work at doesn't care where I live. They're like, hey, I mean, I do have to be in the office, but there's a
Sure.
there's a site down there, two of them. And so I thought, well, hell, I'll just go down. I go down there quite a bit, like probably half the time or more. So right now I'm using one of the rooms, and what'll happen is I'll use that room up until the point where it gets filled, and then there's an ADU. It's kind of an ADU. It's a building with the AC, power, all that. It was kind of a shop, but I put a bed out there, and
Sure.
I have a TV and all that, but I don't have like sink stuff, so I got to look into the legalities of that. Somebody told me that if I had a toothbrush out there, that covers it. So maybe I'll stick a toothbrush out. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But once I get to
Yeah.
that point, I'll put that in there. But yeah, I'm doing a house X. I put 5% down because so I'm doing, while I have the W-2, I'm exploring. I'm using, because there's so many variables with this. One, I'm running on my own, different area for me, more expensive area. There's a lot of variables here. So if it goes south, well, then that sucks. But I think it'll be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, worst case, you just go back to pad split, right? I mean, that's the worst case if this self management doesn't work or no.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, well, that's worst case. I don't really want to do that. So
Okay. All right. Or
yeah.
are you going to take the other three off pad split?
If this works out, I'll peel them off when my leases run up in January, or yeah, January of next year. One lease peels off,
Okay.
and then in April and May, or it
All right.
might be
That's kind of a
midsummer.
good,
Yeah,
that's a good pace. So
yeah,
you wouldn't want to do them all at one time, maybe. Okay.
yeah. If people do, you want me to explain what their fee structure
Yeah.
changed
Go
to?
for it.
I'll do
Yeah.
it
Go
real
ahead.
quick. So pad split used to be a fixed rate. It was 12% plus the 2.75, so basically 15% flat rate, which you can account for. Now I'm just me, just solo. I don't have any partners or investors or anything, and I do want to in the future. And but other people that had investors, how do you tell a potential investor what they did? What they did was they said, all right, moving forward, we're going to take the first 10 days, 100% of every new member, and then charge 8%. Right. And so that 10-day hit is huge. I mean, if you look at the recovery time, it's like 7 months. And most people stay, my average stay is about 5 months. I have people that
Ooh,
have been with me 2 years. I've got a couple guys 2 years, one guy a year, something like that. But on average, there's a lot of turnover,
sure.
especially in the beginning when you bring a new house online. So those houses that are existing, if I lose a member, no big deal. It's one room. It's basically like a vacancy, and that 10-day hit, not the end of the world. Bringing on a brand new house when you're trying to get stabilized within 3, 4, or 5 months, man, you're just gonna go backwards for half the year. So I was like, I'm not doing that.
Got it. Got it. Let's actually talk about that more. So again, you have 8 beds coming online, maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Um, how long did you kind of pencil before it's full? I mean, what would be average? What would be slow? What would be fast?
Well, so that's the advantage of using Pad Split. Pad Split will tell you, and they do this, and I've talked to a lot of other hosts, they'll get your property in 30 days to 80%, which they do hit because that's what they tout and that's their marketing strategy. But after that 80%, remember a while ago when I said the first 4 or 5 pay the mortgage
Yeah.
and utilities and the last is all profit? Guess what? They get you at 80%. If there's supply online that's under 80%, they're going to focus on that. And so you get
Got it.
left out. So you have to do your own marketing to get that. I mean, not all the time. It depends on where the supply level is at. Right now, if you were to bring something online, there's 130 or 140 units, which is high in the
Right.
valley. So if you were to bring something online right now, they get you at 80%, and then you're on your
Yeah.
own until they get the supply up other places because that's what they use for marketing. On my own, I don't know. So I can tell you that I've only pulled, I think, 5 or 6 members myself. I think 4 came from apartments.com, which I love, by the way. I just got that up and running last night. They said 24 to 48 hours it'll show up. I use Turbo Tenant as well to blast out, and then Facebook Marketplace.
Okay.
Key tip for Facebook Marketplace: don't just list it out there and think everything's going to work. Because I was like, I don't understand, it's not working. Duh! You have to join the local groups where the rental things are at, and then post it in there. And I was like, oh, duh! So I pulled 2 members from Facebook Marketplace. So I've only done 6 myself. So I have no real knowledge, and that's over months. So I don't really know. This could be rough. I have a property manager I've been talking to that she seems pretty cool. So if I try this for 2, 3, 4 months and things aren't going well, man, I'm gonna have to call in the air support.
All right. Well, we'll know by Vegas. You'll be able to tell us
Oh
by
yeah,
Vegas.
yeah. Well, actually, by Vegas, I'll have another house. I have to
I
get,
like it.
well, the 100% bonus depreciation. I have to get another house to wipe out my tax burden. So my wife is doing that. She's looking right now. So
Nice. We'll talk about that in a minute.
uh,
Steve's talking about a deal he saw in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. This is crazy to me. It was a 3-1, 2,000 square feet. That's kind of big,
wow,
and it's now going to be an 8-3.
wow,
That's crazy, right?
never
That's
done that.
yeah, you're adding 2 baths and 5 bedrooms. There you go. Well, we just talked about the wife. Let's talk about that because again, one of the things that I think is interesting is when you are married, you got to get the spouse on board. And why don't you talk about how you did that?
It was a complete accident. So I read that book, Tax Free Wealth. So yeah, I got mad about taxes, did some research, found Tax Free Wealth. Instantly, there's only been 3 times in my life where it was 100%, and I mean 100% clear to me, right? Like, met my wife, 100% clear. Getting out of the army, 100% clear. I'm getting out. Like that, even before I joined. And then when I read that book, Tax Free Wealth, it said, I'm an idiot. Like I should have been doing real estate. I was in corporate. I was comfortable. We traveled. We had money. It was just kind of. And then I read that book and the light came on and I'm like, oh man, because I was 49 at the time. I'm 51 now. And I was like, this is what I got to do. So I started doing all this research and I found Pace Morby and hopefully I don't, I thought it seemed a little weird to me. It didn't seem whatever, but I talked to some of the people that are in the community. And so I joined the Gator community, did the whole private money lending thing. That was cool. Then I joined Sub 2, but I didn't pay for it because the money I was lending made enough for me to cover the Sub 2. So I was free rolling, right? Joined that, learned about it, and then got into it. And I came to my wife. This is like 3 months later. She knew I was digging into it, but I've done powder coating for a couple years. I used to flip trailers for 15, 20s. I'm always doing some weird stuff on the side. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I said, honey, I'm going to quit my job and go do real estate. And she didn't say anything, but the look on her face, she didn't have to. We've, been married a long time. It was, are you out of your effing mind? That's what she was thinking, right?
Right.
And what had happened was a couple weeks later, I decided to go full bore. And for those that don't know, I was into off-roading in a big way. I mean, a lot of money going out that I had a LS powered 500 horsepower Jeep and toy hauler and Denali and all paid for, by the way. I didn't have any debt on anything. So I sold the trailer, then I sold the toy hauler, then I sold the Jeep. The second I sold that Jeep, like a month later, she knew I was serious because there's no way. So for people listening, if you've got something that you are passionate about and love and takes time away from the family, and I did take them out, but they didn't really like it, you might consider giving that up and using, if it's time related, for real estate. It was a complete accident. And so when I did that, man, she was fully on board because she knew at that point I was committed. So it's a good, what I call BKM, best known method.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about being interested and committed. And once you start getting rid of your toys, she probably started paying attention.
Yeah. I will say though, I had a really good track record with, I used to flip those little Honda EU 2000 generators.
Uh-huh.
I'm in the Pacific Northwest, and so the fuel up here sucks. And so they get clogged all the time. So I'd buy them for $400, take a little needle off of one of my brushes, and then take the jet out, pop it, put it back in, and then sell it for like 700. So I make $300. Did
Yeah.
that. Bought a bunch of toy haulers. I sold one toy hauler and made 20 grand off of it. And
Wow.
and the really weird thing is it's the same as real estate. If you know the market, like Forest River,
Yeah,
good
of
products,
course.
if you know the
Yeah.
market, if you know what you're buying, then you can get a return on it. And I also had what I would call a wholesaler. I had a guy that worked at a gun place out here. I won't say the name, but and he sat and did his scopes and stuff, and he would
Sure.
surf the web for me. And when he found a deal, he'd send it to me. And if I bought it, I gave him $500.
There
So
you
I had
go.
my own guy. I didn't have time for it. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So I
There
had
you
a
go.
track record, is what I'm saying, of actually making money doing other stuff. I did powder coating for a couple years and made money doing that. It was fun, but I got dirty, and I don't like getting dirty. So
There
I
you
had a
go.
track record behind it, so she knew that I would at least have a fighting chance to make it successful.
There you go. There you go. Getting the spouse on board is important, and nothing like getting rid of your toys to show how committed you are. I like that. Got a question from Flavio. Are you renting? Or do you basically do like any of these homes mixed genders, like men and women, or just men, or what's the deal there?
Yep, they're mixed genders. Yeah, all of them are.
Okay, very cool. There's a question about tenant. Does Pad Split still charge for the 10 weeks? What I guess what is
10
Pad Split?
days.
10 days.
10
Oh, that's 10
days.
days.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
got it.
they do. Yeah. It's rough.
Do members come with deposits? That's actually a good question. Do they come with
It
a deposit?
depends. It depends. So on the west side, right now anyway, the deposits are basic. Most of them are nothing, right? Because there's
Okay.
it's so much competition. But you go north or east, there's like $100 or more, some 150. It just so the answer to that question is it depends.
Depends on the market, right? You get
Depends on
in
the
if you
market.
can. Yeah.
And the host, the owner sets those deposits. So.
And then what is rent collection like? Is this a weekly thing or what is it?
So pad splits weekly. I'm doing 6 month on this one I'm running myself. I've been Sam Wiegert. I don't know if you guys knew Sam Wiegert. He's in the Carolinas, and he's been doing this for I don't know almost 20 years. He does rent by room, and he does it either 6 months or 1 year lease. So I'm going to do that as well.
Okay.
But the pad split method is you have a 12-week commitment. Unless you pay $175, then you can go less than that, and then you pay weekly. So yeah, it's weekly for a pad split. But I'm doing basically monthly for what I'm doing on my own.
Very, very cool.
And I
So
do furnish the rooms, so if people ask that question, I furnish.
yeah. So what oh let's talk about that. So what's an average room cost you? Because I'm guessing it's a bed, a dresser, and some lights, I guess, or what is it?
Yeah, ceiling fan. I put in
Ceiling
desks,
fan.
chairs. Some of them I put fridges in, depending on the rooms and
Like a
everything.
little like a
Yeah, a
mini
little mini fridge. I buy
Are we
because
talking
it's
less than 5 grand? Less than 3 grand a room?
for construction or for renting.
No, furniture. 1,000?
Oh,
I have no
furnishing.
idea.
Yeah, you're probably hitting 2,500,
Yeah.
something like that. I did find a local mattress dealer, and I can get queens and fulls for relatively cheap, like 110 for the full and 130 delivered, by the way, brand new,
Nice.
for the queens.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, and I put ceiling fans and everything. I run the AC at 72 in all the houses. So I mean, I try to provide a really good service. All the appliances are stainless steel. I redid the floors in almost all of them. I did granite in one, and then learned that that's expensive. So I do quartz now.
Quartz. Yeah, better.
half
Yeah,
the
yeah.
half the cost. Yeah, still strong. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a good question from Wayne. What was the biggest unexpected challenge you've encountered on your first property? Any of yours?
Unexpected challenge. It's a small one, but cameras. I was dead set against putting cameras in the house because I thought it was weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I wouldn't like it. At least I thought. And I had this older guy in a scooter, and he just destroyed the hell out of the walls and the doors and everything. I'm like, what the hell, man? So I was like, hey, man, you destroyed everything. He goes, no, it wasn't me. I'm like, the streak, you're the only one with a scooter, and the streak marks match exactly your tires. And oh, by the way, the door is damaged on the inside of your room. You did it. And he's
Right.
like, no, no, I didn't. So I called Pad Split and said, hey man, what do I do? He's like, well, what does the footage say? I'm like, what do you mean footage? Like the camera footage. And I'm like, well, I don't have any. He's like, sorry, we can't help you. And I'm like, crap. So I ended up putting cameras in, and then I learned it was actually a good thing, because the female, like somebody mentioned about the gender, the women really appreciate the cameras. Like I did not think of that from a safety point of view, and the men can give it or take it or whatever. I don't know. I didn't like it, but now I do, and everybody seems to like it. And yeah, I don't have to monitor them or anything. It's only, I think, about 3 times where I had to use them, and it wasn't for anything bad. It was like somebody accidentally took the wrong glass bowl instead of the
Oh,
other bowl, and they said, "Hey, my bowl's missing." So I looked at the camera footage, told the, you took the wrong bowl. No big deal. The 7 Up lady, she accidentally took somebody else's 7 Up. No big deal. And the third one, I don't remember what it was, but oh, the laundry. Somebody accidentally, yes, you have cameras in the laundry room, the kitchen, the front door, and then sometimes the hallway and sometimes the backyard, depending on the layout. So
yeah. And no pools, right? No pools.
no pools. I talked to my lawyer and he said the number 2 lawsuit he has in the Phoenix Metro is pools. So I am not dealing with that. Got enough stuff going on.
Yeah, I've actually paid to remove pools in one of my apartments for that exact reason. Yeah. What other questions we got? We got the book name, Tax Free Wealth. Tom Wheelwright, great guy. Wrote a book with Bo Eckstein, one of our weekly
Yep.
guests. That was fun. Let's talk a little accounting. I can help you with this, but here we go. How do you qualify for bonus depreciation cost seg with such a large single family home?
Just I use DI. I used to use Cosseg EZ, but now I use DIY Cosseg because of good old Matt, the lumberjack landlord.
There you
Oh, by the
go.
way, I signed up with Maine Bean Counters too. So
There
Bob
you go.
Langworthy, yeah, it took me 2 years to get in there. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, good dude. But yeah, I just use DIY Cosseg. I run the bonus depreciation. I use the formulas they give there and then submit it to the accountant. So I don't know. They do all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And again, you don't have to qualify. This is not about being a real estate professional. You're not trying to do any hours or anything of that nature. Um,
Oh, you know what I think he's probably asking?
hmm,
Because I do have a W-2. That's
right,
probably what he's asking is how,
right.
or I don't know if it's a guy. So my wife is the real estate professional. She doesn't have a W-2. So
Got it.
that's
So,
how we offset my tax burden from, I do have a high income earning job. And so I would say career, but it's a job.
yeah,
Hopefully nobody work watches this, but
it's a job.
but
It's
yeah,
okay.
that
It's all
is,
right.
if you guys can get away with that, man, that is fantastic. We our first year we got 45 grand back. And then
Ah,
not 9 grand of that was an Oregon thing where they'd overbilled, so we got that was back. And then last year we wrote off 265 grand, which was nice. And this
nice.
year we're going to hit about 380, I hope, in write-offs somewhere in there. So we're about going to wipe out our whole tax burden.
Yeah. And this was the whole goal in the beginning. So again,
Yeah,
in your case, because you are married, the wife does again, she has to do some tracking, right? Is it like 750 hours or what is it?
750, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's the first year I did this, I went to go do the real estate professional because I'd left in August.
Right.
And my lawyer told me, look, man, and my accountant said, you're going to get audited for sure. There's no way you're going to do that. I'm like, well, the math says I can. It's like, I don't care what the math says. The IRS
Yeah.
is, you don't do it. I'm
You're
like,
going to
okay.
get hit. Yeah. Yeah.
So I ran the short-term rental loophole. That first house, I did the
Okay.
construction on it, and then in November, Mark Kohler told me. I ran into him in a hallway at his office, and I said, "Hey, man," he goes, "This is what I do." He buys in December, runs it one time as a short-term rental, and does that. And he goes, "But don't do that." He goes, "Being that's you and new, and you don't have that on your record, rent it out 3 times." So that's what I did. I took an 8 bedroom, 2 bath house and I put it up on Airbnb for like $80 a night. The going rate was like 200 or something. And people called me and asked me if it was a scam. I was like, I told them what I was doing. I was like,
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, okay, because it was
Yeah.
tax
I'm
related.
in. I'll take it. I'll be one of
Yeah.
your three.
I had some guys show up and they played cards all night. They rented it for one night. And then I had a person that showed up for Thanksgiving and they had a Thanksgiving there, which was interesting. And the other one were some business guys that needed to be in the area, and that was it. And then I shut it down. Didn't do anything in December. January 1st, I started co-living. But that move with the short-term rental, man, it was huge for the write-offs. So
Nice. Okay. All right. Very cool. Has it been challenging doing all this rehab marketing, et cetera, while working a busy W-2? Sounds overwhelming.
it is, man. I mean, it is. I'm not gonna lie. Like you guys say, the first 5 years suck. It sucks. And then I screwed around and got promoted, and so now it's even worse. So yeah, yeah, man. So,
So
but
let's talk about that. So what are you how do you outsource, or is this just you're just going through the suck and you're going to put up with it for a little while, or what are you doing?
I have to explain what happened when I took the buyout back in August. So I took the buy. I left the Intel. I'll say I don't care. I left Intel, took the buyout. So I had some money to live off on. I got paid 51 and a half weeks to. This is the best part. I'll tell you what happened. I left for a year, came back a year and 3 days later, got a signing bonus and a bunch of other money and my same salary. So I left for. I took a year sabbatical basically. But I
Nice.
took that year and I was all I did, and I still do this. I watch you, and that's where I learned about you. And I met Dion in person up in Washington at the multifamily thing. And Dion and Millennial Mike spent the whole night with me and Curtis for like 6 hours just talking to us. It was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, back to the Glendale house. I spent all that time. I went through I think four or five cleaning ladies, a bunch of contractor. I mean, I had hosts when I mean handymen, some bunch of handymen. The contractor I went with, what I do for people that are looking out there, I don't look online, I don't look at reviews, none of that. I talk to other investors in the area. That's it,
Yes.
100%. And if they've used them, not that oh so and so said this, and I've had, I'm gonna knock on some wood here, really good luck. Even the bad ones were good, right? So like I've had multiple contractors, they've all come on time, on budget. I had some flooring issues with one, but he actually his subcontractor was kind of the issue there, but still on him. But I've had really good luck with just reaching out to other investors. Oh, by the way, other co-living investors. There's a whole market, whole world out there. I started my own little school thing. We got like 25 people of just co-living people. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Share BK, best known methods and whatnot. But yeah, I spent that year building up my team, so to speak. So my cleaning lady, Paula, she's awesome. Stephen Gomez is my agent, but he's also a co-living investor. I've got, I don't know, three or four handymen. I've got four AC guys because in Arizona, Raul's my
Yeah.
number one guy. But if he's busy, man, I just go down the list. And then Isaac's my main plumber. I love that guy. I've got to know these guys, and
Hmm.
I kind of stole this from Dion. Like you, this is the best part. Like I listen to Pace, I listen to Dion, I listen to you, and I don't agree with everybody, but I take bits and pieces from everybody and I put it into my little world. And from Dion's point, I usually add a tip or add some extra money there. And I know not everybody can do that, but man, and then Christmas time, I do a nice little bonus for everybody, and so they're more apt to help me. And then my cleaning lady loves me. She had to hire somebody because I've been spreading the word about her,
Yeah.
and her business is blowing up, and all she does is co-living now. And I know at some
Nice.
point that's going to bite me because I've done that before. I spread the word, and then they get too busy. So that's why I keep tipping them and make sure they're good,
There you go.
happy.
Well, what is your ideal tenant?
Oh man, the best tenants I've got. Well, I had to. I've got one now. Insurance adjusters. These guys are awesome. They'll come in, they'll stay a couple days, and then they'll fly off to Florida for some disaster or California for the fires or whatever. They're never there,
Huh.
right? They just need a place to crash, so they don't cause any issues. They pay rent. They don't use utilities. I mean, that is fantastic. If I could get 100% insurance adjusters, that's what I would do, man.
Yeah. What about students? Do you like college students? Are they part of it or no?
You know what's funny is that first house. There are five colleges within, I don't know, a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles around that house. I don't have a single college student. I never have. And I thought
Interesting.
for sure that I would have, some college students, but I've never had one. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of weird.
And again, no couples, singles.
No couples. I've had a lot of people request that, but 8 people in a house is
Yeah,
enough.
is enough. Yeah.
On average, it works out to be 7.2 throughout the year for the last 2 years. And I run my
Okay.
numbers at six of the eight. All the houses are 8 bedrooms. So I run at 75% occupancy. So I
Okay.
undercut it, you know.
Nice. Any trouble with parking?
Well, I would, but that's one of I mentioned my buy box. Parking is
Right.
key. So, all the houses I look at, like first thing I do is look at parking. If there's no parking, I don't even look at it. I don't care because it's just not going to work. Because now, depending on what metro or what market you're in, that may or may not be a problem. Phoenix, you need a car. Everything's spread out. Most people, well, I think I did the math once. It's over 50. It's about 60% of the people have cars. So for me, if there's a bus stop nearby, then I'll compromise, which is the Gilbert House. The Gilbert House has enough for like maybe 4 or 5 cars, but has a bus stop right there.
Hmm.
It's walking distance a block. So I kind of compromised on that. And then another house I sort of did too, but it was such a smoking deal. I mean, that one for 120 grand off, I couldn't
Yeah.
pass that up, man. I was like, I'll make it work.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Disrespectful offer for the win.
yeah.
What about outdoor space? Do you allow like grills or barbecues or anything of that nature?
I don't buy them anymore, but I'm fine with it. And the reason why is the backyards, all of them are all rock, right? So everything, if there's grass, I get rid of that, lower maintenance. But I found out you still got to do landscaping because weeds and grass. And I'm like, damn it. The whole reason I did that, I
Yeah.
thought anyway, being an Oregon guy, I thought, well, I'll put rock down there. It'll be fine. No, it still comes up. So I still have landscapers that have to come through. But if they buy it, it's okay. I bought one and it didn't go well, right? Like nobody cleaned it. It got pretty messed up. And then they were saying, hey, you need to buy gas. I'm like, I don't need to do anything. So I quit doing that, right? And so
Right.
if they do it, fine, but I'm not furnishing it or buying
There
it.
you go. There you go. Do you have a favorite brand of camera? Do you do 30-day
Oh,
storage or cloud?
Wise Cloud. I pay for the annual subscription. I think it's like 129 bucks. You can put 100 cameras on there. WYZE. Oh, and by the way, uh, I posted in school as a screwing around. I did the Amazon affiliate link thing.
Yeah.
I make like 50 bucks a month on that affiliate thing, which is,
Nice.
it's crazy. But yeah, I have all that on my YouTube channel, the REI Jared, Jarrod, selfless
There you
plug.
go. There you go.
But in the description is all the links and the Wise, WYZE. Those are the cameras I use, and they're fantastic. And I just swapped out all my Ring doorbells to the Wise as well. I've
There
had
you
some
go.
issues with
Wise.
the Ring.
Wise is the answer. There you
Yeah, they're
go.
cheap, man. They're like 30 bucks or maybe 35, and they're fantastic. They pan tilt. I can remote control them from my phone. Everything's done on my phone. I use the Sensi thermostats, which you can control and set the
Yep.
up and down limits remotely and monitor. They send you monthly reports, which by the way, that Sensi thermostat saved me probably 200, probably 600 bucks a summer because
Sure.
I got the report last year and I'm like, what's going on here? And I had a handyman go up in the attic and he found two, what do you call them? Jim, help me out here. What are those? Oh, Jim and Frank are on here. The stuff for AC vents, the
Ducks. The
ducting.
ducting.
The ducting. See, I'm not a construction guy. He found two of the ducting things were split open, so I was
Oh.
air conditioning the neighborhood, right? And
Ah,
so, yeah, he went up there and fixed that, and I think he charged me like 150, so that paid for itself in 1 month. So all
there you
because of
go.
the thermostat told me that. It's kind of cool.
Nice, nice. Well, Angela's asking about your school group. What is the school group? Is it free? Is it paid? What's going on?
Oh, it's free. I started it a while ago, but then after 2 months, I was getting billed $90. I'm like, oh, I don't really do want to do that. And then they came out with this thing that said $9. So I'm like, oh, I can do nine
Yeah,
dollars.
the
So,
hobby. The hobby. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I didn't. You want me to post it in here, or?
Yeah. Go ahead. I just.
Oh, okay,
It's
I
all
didn't
us,
know if
man.
that was. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
I
yeah, I'll
know.
post it in here.
No hard feeling. What's the name of
Yeah,
it?
it's rent by room. Here,
Sophisticated name, Jared.
yeah, yeah. I mean, took a lot of thought on that one.
Yeah. Simple's better. Simple
There you
minds.
go. I pasted it in the chat. So
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and get you a bunch of new members there. Again, if you're watching this online, you might not see the chat. Again, it's just called Rent by Room.
yeah,
Nothing
on school. Yeah.
on school. Yes, SKOOL. Very, very cool. Would you consider multifamily? This is a good question. So again, you talked about staying in your lane, right? You're doing single family homes. Would you consider doing let's call it a duplex to a quad, or are you going to stick in your lane?
Yeah, if I talk to a lot of people, and that's what some people do because of some people are scared of the member agreement. They don't like it. So what they'll
Sure.
do is, so yes, I would if I could find one. Phoenix, I haven't been able to find any in an area that's an area that I'd want to go in. Like there
Okay.
are places that have them, but I'm not going there.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's one of the things I think you have to realize with co-living is the area matters, right? The area does matter.
yeah. So yeah, I would, and I would also even consider commercial like five and more if I could, like Cody's doing with the seller finance and that.
Yep.
My worry, and it turns out it's a pretty good one, even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing, is that debt structure, right? That
Yes.
5-year turnover and all that, or maybe 10. I don't like that. It scares the hell out of me. Even when I knew in the past when I bought a primary back in 2005, I put 30-year fixed rate debt, even though I knew I was moving in a year or two, just because you never know,
Just
something
don't
can
know,
happen.
right?
So luckily, I've always done that. But yeah, it's a good model because I'll mention this in case somebody cares. Some of the other markets out there, they're more strict if they're not a landlord-friendly state. So what people do is they'll buy a duplex and it'll be like a 3-2 on one and 3-2 on the other. Well, the local municipalities say no more than 3 or 4 non-family members per unit. Well, there you go. You're good. So you can do or you can do rent by room in that because you're not breaking any of the local laws. I get around it by doing the member agreement. So,
Got it.
and you have 38 fixed rate debt on the fourplex and under, right? So that works out pretty good.
Yeah. So I know you're not a lawyer, so with that one caveat, can you talk about the distinction between a tenant and a member in your simple understanding?
My simple understanding is the law has tenant laws, and I don't have tenants, I have members. You got to love lawyers and hate them at the same time, depending on which side you're on.
Yeah, yeah.
That's as
Again,
simple
folks,
as you
we're
can
not
do.
lawyers here, so and again, this is a big pad split thing. Pad split has built their business on members and willing to go to battle, going to war to kind of have that distinction. Also, Wall Street, you know, private money folks, they're getting involved using this member thing. So again, we are not
Yeah,
lawyers here.
Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban
Yeah,
invested in
Cuban.
pad split. Yeah, which is why I think they changed their fee structure because they got to pay out their investors.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
those damn billionaires coming in, messing up for
damn
everyone.
billionaires.
Nice, nice. Well, again, let's talk about the Vegas event, February 14th, 15th. You're coming out. You're going to be one of the presenters. Any kind of you know, talk track or questions you have about the event, or you know, people need to get there. What are you thinking? It's a couple months away. I guess 5 months away.
Yeah. What do you mean specifically? Just like, hey, come on out, or
Yeah, I just like, do you have any questions for me? Right, because we haven't really caught up about it.
oh,
But you know, any thoughts on that?
I mean, I've been to all of them, so it's basically people telling their stories. So I
Yep.
figured I want to. Brandon and I have been talking. Brandon, he might be on here. Brandon and I have talked. We want to tell our stories, but along the way, add value for because there's everybody in the there's. I love that you're doing this, by the way. Like I'm new. I've only been in this 2 years, right? And so a lot of times you go to these events and you see these multimillionaires and you have no connection, right? Like they've
Right.
forgotten more, and now you got some people that are like brand new, basically, and you're putting them on stage. So there's people in the audience that maybe haven't done their first deal, or maybe they have one or two or whatever. So there's probably a little bit more of a connection there. So I love that you're doing that. But I was planning on just telling the story. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Listen to other people's stories and trying to add value of things like getting your spouse on board and
Yep.
then maybe a little bit of the finance. Now I go off on finance. So I'm not going to do that. I'll bore your audience to death, but just touch on a few things and skip it. And that way people can come up to me later. And
Yes.
that was the weird thing last year. There was like people wanting to talk to me and my wife was there and she's like, what the hell is this? Like people, and I was like, I don't know. It's just people want to talk. I'm a talker. So if you
There you
haven't
go.
guessed that,
There you go. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think definitely one of the things you got to hit is kind of the summary of where you are today, because I think the numbers matter. I think there's a lot of folks that, you know, kind of give up without trying, and you know, you're making it work. You know, Brandon, you know, new construction is making it work. And again, I think you're right. I think, you know, our events, the ORaaT event is kind of unique because it's not just a bunch of, you know, 8-figure millionaires, and yeah, sure we have them and all of that, but it's it's just trying to get everybody to get started, right? It's about everyday wealth builders, like this damn hat says.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
that's
by the
that.
way, where do you get that hat at?
Oh, my website, one rental at a time. It
Okay.
comes in
I got
white and black.
yeah.
This is what I think we are building. Is we're trying to get everybody to become wealth builders, because you know that Ryan Pineda and Rob, you know, video, you know, there's a lot right in what those guys were saying. I'm not here, you're not here telling folks that we can replace our income in a minute. We're just trying to build wealth together, and it takes time. So I just need everybody to know that if you're in my community, you're an everyday wealth builder, and it takes time and consistency and focus and staying in your lane. And the first 5 years suck and all that stuff. So this hat, you know, this tagline is what I hope to be known for more than anything in a couple of years. This is what I'm banking on. To me, The Millionaire Next Door was that book that set me on a new life, just like Tax Free Wealth was for you. The
Yeah.
Millionaire Next Door, as old it is, I have to say it was the book that showed me it was possible, right? I was a teenager working fast food. My parents didn't have any college education. They served in the military. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad did whatever he did. And it money was never around.
Yeah.
It was the Millionaire Next Door that showed me that if I owned it, I could do better for my family. So that's what I think we are. I think we're everyday wealth builders. So this one means a lot to me, this tagline. So thanks for asking.
Yeah.
One more time, what is your YouTube channel? Let's wrap this up. Where can go people geek out on data?
It's largely focused around co-living and some finance stuff and whatnot.
Yeah,
But
great.
yeah, it's REIJARROD. So REI Jared.
Very cool. We'll do one last question. We'll sneak it in here from Keith. Do you have any construction experience before buying a place, doing loads of work, knocking on walls and such?
Nope, not a clue.
Still don't.
Like, still don't. Yeah, I mean, I rely like Jim. Ask Jim. Dude, I called him what 2 or 3 times last week. I'm like, Jim. I
What
sent
is
him
this?
pictures. I'm like, this is all. That's what this community's for. It's awesome, right? Like, if somebody has finance stuff or
Yeah.
co-living questions, cool. But like construction, I'm not your guy, right? So that's
Yeah.
why contractors and others. So yeah, no, not a clue.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. And
rely
and
on the
and
contractor.
won't. It's not like it's a thing you're no, that's not where you're going. Get paid
No,
for what you do.
yeah, I'm
Very,
happy to pay somebody to do that. Happy.
very, very cool. Well, Jared, you are amazing. Thank you so much for doing this on Sunday. Thank you for coming out to Vegas. Guys, have a great week. Take care.
Thanks.
Later.
Take it easy.